Wrestling Past and Present. I'm Tim Kurt.
And I'm Roman Bulis.
Yeah, we've made it to the big 5-0. This is episode 50.
We are way more episodes than I thought we'd ever do.
Yes, same here.
I didn't have high hopes, but I thought that, as long as we were at least having fun, which we are, thankfully. But when we started this, I didn't know where we were going to go with it. We've kind of changed our format a little bit. We still do the past and present sometimes when it works. But, we've actually been enjoying doing the one topic per show just because we can kind of deep dive into it a little bit more. So we've changed a little bit. We still every now and again go back to the past and present in one episode. We've come a long way. 2 more episodes till the big 1 year, and I know we teased it at the end of the last episode that there's going to be some changes and some stuff coming that hopefully will interest you guys. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. That's coming up for you guys in about 2 weeks now, our 1 year anniversary show.
Spoiler alert: if you like our entrance and our outro, there's only 1 more week of that. That's
yes.
all I'm telling you. We are changing some things up. Again, I'm not going to spoil what it is or whatnot, but next week, episode 51 will be the last of our plain intros and outros. So
we got some big things, production-wise planned for you guys. Hopefully you'll like that.
And a couple of surprises, too.
Yep, a couple of surprises.
Which one of the surprises we hope to do maybe like once a month kind of thing.
Yeah.
So maybe more, depending on how it goes. We'll see what happens, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely.
That's all you're getting, suckers. That's it. You'll have to tune in 2 weeks from today to find out what we're talking
about. But in the meantime, you get to hear us give you a deep dive into Survivor Series 2012. Hard to believe it's been 8 years since that show.
Well, and not to skip, but episode 51 is also going to be a cool episode because we're doing that the Battle Bowl from 93.
From 93.
I know we usually do this at the end, but I don't want people to just forget about next week.
Yeah.
So we're doing a pretty cool. It's like a WCW's version of like a wrestling tournament, essentially.
Yep.
Kind of like a King of the Ring type style tournament, which there seems to be some really good matchups on the show. So again, don't sleep on next week's episode.
No.
I know we're promoting 2 weeks from now. I just don't want people to be like, whoa, 51. Screw that. I don't need to hear that. So again, I didn't want to cut Tim off, but I also don't want you guys to just forget about next week's episode too.
No, we'll be here for episode 51. So Survivor Series 2012, we have 7 total matches to discuss, including 1 dark match.
Which makes 8.
No,
7. Wow, you're right. My bad. I looked quick, and for some reason I thought there was 7 after the dark match.
No.
But wow, so they didn't do a whole lot on this show.
No, there's only 6 matches on the actual card.
Wow.
You sound surprised, even though you just
watched it. I mean, I did just watch it, but I don't remember it being I don't remember in my head saying, "Wow, this is really short."
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You would think with that amount of match, it wouldn't be a very long show, but
it was still your typical 2 hours, 45-minute show.
Yeah, you just blew my mind. You really did, because I, for some reason, thought that it was longer. Like in my head, I wasn't like, "Holy crap, that was short," or "Holy crap, that was long." But 6 matches doesn't sound very long.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he's right. There's 7.
7 total matches. So your dark match here, or the pre-show match, I should say, was 3MB, which was represented by Heath Slater and Jinder Mahal. Drew McIntyre is on the outside looking in on this one.
He probably had his cast on at this point.
He might have. I
know he was out for a little while there with a cast, so.
They're going to get a win in about 6 minutes over Team Cobra.
Now, hold on. Can anybody out there name who's on this team?
Yes, sir.
I mean, you kind of gave a little bit of it away, but if you put a gun to my head and said, "Who was on Cobra?" I'm pretty sure I'd be dead. But anyways, I mean, if you think about it, it makes sense.
It makes sense.
But still,
you have Santino Marella and Zack Ryder.
Matt Cardona now. Formerly of AEW. I guess his contract expired there. And he's doing some things. It wouldn't surprise me if he showed back up there again. But
no, he's a big.
He looked jacked too. He looked jacked
when
the time he had off from WWE letting him go did well, because he looked absolutely jacked when he showed up in TNA. I almost said TNA. Showed up in AEW. He might show up at TNA. He might show up in Impact. I don't know where he's going to go next. The Good Brothers are in Impact,
Yep, Heath Slater right now.
Yeah, so I mean, there you go. Yeah, good point. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if he showed up there either. But it's funny to look at this match, and there's only one guy really relevant in WWE. I mean, Ginger's still there.
Yep.
But he keeps getting hurt. He seems to get hurt every time he comes back, unfortunately. And there's only one guy, and obviously the one guy isn't even in the match.
Yeah, that's Drew McIntyre. He's the one that's made the biggest impact. I mean, we should mention Jinder Mahal was champion at one point, so he, got his run there.
Well, all these people have left and or come back.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of turnover in just 8 years in this one match. I mean, Jinder left and came back. Heat's gone. Yep. Zach's gone. Santino kind of comes and goes every now and again for
Drew got fired at one point and came back.
I mean, it's amazing. That one match kind of sums up the last 8 years in WWE.
Yeah, pretty much. So much turnover.
And it wasn't even on the show.
And more turnover on this next match here. This was a bonus match.
Oh, yeah. You know when they start off a pay-per-view with, this is a bonus 5-on-5 Survivor Series elimination match, we're like, oh, hell.
Yeah.
But you imagine, though, this match is almost 20 minutes long. Imagine if this match wasn't on the card.
I know.
Holy cow. It would have been like an hour and 35-minute pay-per-view.
But, I mean, this just felt, and I'll run down the competitors in a minute.
But it wasn't a bad match, though.
It was not a bad match, but it felt like they just grabbed everybody that did not have a spot.
They went to catering about an hour before and looked
you're
around.
On a team. They probably did like a draft or something.
Yeah, they did the Oprah, and you get a team, you're on a team. And it just, it was definitely really thrown together.
It just felt really thrown together. So we're going to get we have Team Brodus Clay with the Funkadactyls, which was early Naomi there, and Cameron. He's going to team with Justin Gabriel and Tyson Kidd, who apparently were a tag team at this time.
And Justin Gabriel's now PJ Walker, for people who don't know who that is. But he was in the Nexus, high flyer guy from South Africa.
Yep.
Again, some of the people that listen now may not know who that is, just because the name is not, if you some of the newer listeners may not know who Justin Gabriel was. Just because, I mean, he had a great look and good potential. I don't know what happened with him, but...
rounding out the team is Sin Cara, and you might have heard of this guy, Rey Mysterio.
He's a bum.
Yeah.
If only he had a kid that had some talent too.
I know.
Not Tyson Kidd either, but
they're gonna get a win over the primetime players, which is Darren Young and Titus O'Neil, Epico and Primo, and Tensai. Not Lord Tensai.
Not Sweet Tea either.
Not Sweet Tea Tensai. Not Albert.
Not Prince Albert.
Not Prince Albert. Nothing.
Not
Tensai.
Matt Bloom.
Nope.
Just Tensai.
Just Tensai.
Now, like Tim said, though, you look at this match, okay? You have Rey Mysterio and Naomi and Titus O'Neil are pretty much the only people even remotely on TV right now. Tyson Kidd's still with the company in a backstage capacity. He'll probably be lifetime based on the injury he had. If he wants a job there lifetime, he'll have it. And then you have Tensai as one of the trainers in NXT. That's it. The rest of these guys are gone too. Again, 8 years. Quite the turnover.
So much turnover. I know Brodus Clay is actually doing a lot of political stuff. He's like Cyrus now.
He was Tyrus for a little bit in TNA.
TNA, yeah. But I know he does a lot of stuff like on news channels and stuff like that.
Yep.
Rey Mysterio is still relevant today, going strong with his son.
Obviously, he is the biggest name on this.
Yes.
In this match, just because of before and after. But you have Primo and Epico have had like 3 different reincarnations. They were the Islanders. As when they had they were trying to sell the timeshares.
Yeah.
And then they were Los Matadores. So apparently Rosa Mendez was El Torito before El Torito was El Torito.
Yeah.
But Rosa Mendez came out with them. But yeah, it's just definitely a thrown together last minute thing, and it's too bad too because there's a lot of good talent in this match, and the match itself was pretty good.
It was pretty good, for being this thrown together, or at least that's what it seemed like.
I mean, maybe it wasn't. Maybe they knew and they just never advertised it, and they're like, oh crap, we forgot to advertise this match. I mean, we don't know,
but yeah, like you said, it wasn't a terrible match. It was a decent way to start the show. We'll run down the eliminations for you.
It confused Michael Cole as to which one was Naomi and Cameron at the beginning.
Yes. Yep. We should mention the commentary. This was the first time that JBL, Michael Cole, and Jerry the King Lawler worked as a tag team. They mentioned.
Yeah, as a
announce team.
Yeah, as a threesome. They one was from each show essentially. I mean, Michael Cole was. I don't know if he was doing both shows at the time or if he was.
I think he was just doing Raw, but I'm not 100% sure.
For a while, he floated between the shows too for a little bit, just kind of like Corey Graves did when they first did the rebrand split. He kind of split his time on both shows.
So you have Brodus Clay going to get the elimination first, which is a little surprising since he's kind of the biggest guy on his team.
Well, and mind you, last week, pretty much every Survivor Series match was like 50-50 booking. Yeah. This was kind of refreshing the way they did this.
Yes.
But anyways, continue.
So he's eliminated by Tensai, and then Tensai gets eliminated by Justin Gabriel. It's a little surprising there.
Yeah, Tensai hit that like senton on Brodus Clay, probably broke every rib in his body.
Yeah,
landed right on him, and then he went for it on the Justin Gabriel, and he moved and then hit his finisher, and that was it.
Now, Tyson Kidd's gonna get a couple of eliminations here. He's gonna get Titus O'Neil and Epico, and then Rey Mysterio is going to finish out the match by eliminating Primo and Darren Young. So you have a lot of survivors for this one. You have Rey Mysterio, Sin Cara, Justin Gabriel, and Tyson Kidd.
And the ending of this match was actually really cool because they all hit their finishers on Darren Young.
Yes.
So that was kind of cool. Like Ray hit the 619, then they tagged in Justin Gabriel. He hit the moonsault off the top rope, and then the elbow from Tyson Kidd, and then Sin Cara's swanton. Don't call it a swanton, senton. And then Ray hit the modified frog splash, and that was it.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. JBL said something about it being almost like batting practice, essentially, and that's pretty much what it was. They all got their licks in, and it was a neat finish. Put it that way.
It was pretty cool finish.
It is cool when they start rattling off stuff.
Yeah.
So it was pretty neat.
Yeah. So I thought it was a decent way to open up the show, definitely.
Yep. And it was a bonus match.
It was a bonus match. Next up is a singles match for the Divas Championship. You have Eve Torres, the champion, getting a win over Caitlyn in about 7 minutes.
More turnover here.
Yeah. I honestly did not really remember Caitlyn at all.
Yeah.
I know Eve Torres a little bit.
Yeah.
I remember her.
I remember her from the Zack Ryder storyline.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I didn't really remember Caitlyn. I thought the match was alright. I mean, this is definitely, the women were still divas here.
Yes.
So
that title is so ugly. Not to cut you off, but I'm glad to get rid of that divas title.
Yeah.
The butterfly thing.
Yeah. But so I thought that was a decent match. I mean, like you said, or like I said, women's wrestling wasn't the same as it is today, and that's what you're going to get with these shows in the early 2010s.
Well, and Caitlyn was still really green here too.
Yeah.
You could tell that she hadn't been wrestling for or acting either. 'Cause even the backstage segment wasn't that good.
Yeah. Yeah, they have the thing where she gets attacked by this mystery attacker.
Oksana.
Yeah.
Oksana was the one that attacked her, and she pulled her wig off, pulled her weave off.
And then she walked down the
like Bray Wyatt carrying the lantern down. She carried that friggin' head of hair down. And then she throws it at Eve Torres before the match even starts.
Yep.
Like you're supposed to wait for the bell and then throw it and go. Like she throws it, the bell rings, and they're both just like, oh. But yeah, she's definitely really green. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't that great either.
Yeah.
But it could have been worse. Could have been better. Could have been worse.
Yeah, it's kind of like your middle of the road kind of match.
Yeah, I mean, it's a let me out match really, which is weird because you would have thought they would have put that a little bit lower before maybe the main event, but obviously it wasn't that good, so I'm glad they didn't put it that low.
Yeah. Next up is a singles match for the United States Championship. You have Antonio Cesaro here, going to get a win over R-Truth in about 7 minutes. Antonio Cesaro is doing this whole American gimmick at the time.
But yet he was United States champion.
He's United States champion, which they seem to do that sometimes with that title.
Oh yeah.
I know, like they kind of did it with Rusev. But there's no turnover here. Both of these guys still going strong.
R-Truth's about 100 years old. Still,
yes.
Still out there wrestling. I mean,
and I think that's how many reigns he's had with that.
24/7, 7-Eleven, 995 South. Heavyweight European, yeah. R-Truth for what he is, they use him so well.
Yeah,
he's entertaining for the fans, and quite possibly one of the better improvers that you have. Like he's so good at improvising different things, especially with live crowds. Like like the time I always remember the time he came out and Kane was going a rundown of the Money in the Bank match, and he comes out. And he says something about doing it, and Kane's like, "You're not even in this match." And R-Truth's like, "Oh, my bad," and he just leaves. Or the time they were doing the Royal Rumble, and he comes out with the ladder.
Yeah,
he puts the ladder up, he climbs it, and he's like,
"Where is it?"
Like he's so good with some of his stupid stuff. Yeah. And I remember him. I can't remember if it was himself that had an interview, but I remember him pitching that to Vince. And Vince is like, "Oh, I love it. You should do that." And you go out to the ring with the ladder and for the Royal Rumble, he's like, "I love it. That's great." So if you make Vince laugh, chances are you're going to make us laugh too, because Vince, for all his negative flaws, he is pretty good at telling when something's funny, whether it's good or not. It may not be in good taste, but it might be funny.
Yeah.
And stuff that R-Truth does hilarious.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's had a hell of a career for someone who has been overlooked a lot. I mean, he had a great run at TNA when he was Ron Killings.
Yep. Yeah, he was champion there.
And he can still go. I mean, like I said, all joking aside, he's got to be about 50. If I had to guess,
yeah, I think
he's
so.
right around at 52 maybe.
Yeah.
And he still looks great. And that's one of the things they joke about, too, is like he hasn't changed in 10 years, which he looks the same.
He does.
I mean, he came in as Road Dogg's buddy way back when, before he went.
Quick.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, he's had a hell of a career.
Yeah.
And Cesaro, Claudio Castagnoli, we talk about this from time to time, how overlooked he's been.
Mm-hmm.
He had the U.S. Championship here, so they had something, but then he lost whatever steam he had.
Yeah.
It's just, even when he's had the Intercontinental Championship here and there, or a tag title, he just loses whatever steam he has for some reason. I don't know if that's, like I said, I heard a rumor that it might have something to do with the fact that he's balding. Vince doesn't like, unless you have a bald head, like a Stone Cold, or hair, like it could just be something as simple as that.
Yeah.
He just doesn't like his look. But pound for pound, Cesaro is probably the strongest competitor they have.
Yeah. He won with the neutralizer. I always thought the neutralizer was kind of like a weak finisher, though. I never really saw him now. It just kind of, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it would do that much damage to me.
No, I mean it's impressive when he does it to a bigger person.
Yeah,
because he literally deadlifts the person, and the person that's in the move doesn't get to help as much.
Mm-hmm.
So it's mostly him deadlifting someone, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But then again, it's impressive when AJ does it to a bigger guy when he does the Styles Clash, because he's literally holding, and very, very seldom is the person's hands on the ring.
Yeah.
He's just deadlifting them, getting their arms where they are and flipping them. So I mean, he doesn't do it to huge guys, but when he does it to a bigger guy, it's like, wow, that was pretty impressive. But yeah, I mean, the stuff he can do, like swinging the Big Show, the giant swing and stuff. I mean, Cesaro is just a freak when it comes to that stuff. Yeah. So it's too bad that they haven't been able to do more with him. It seems like he gets a push and then loses it for no reason. Why that is, I'll never know.
Yeah. Next up is a singles match for the World Heavyweight Championship. You have the Big Show as the champion here. He's coming off his ironclad contract. This is the storyline where he can basically do whatever he wants, and he's not going to have any repercussions.
Yeah.
He's taking on Sheamus here. Sheamus is actually going to get the win by disqualification in about a little under 15 minutes, actually. There was a ref bump in here where the Big Show pulls the ref in front of him.
For the bro kick, yeah.
For the bro kick, gets the bro kick, and the referee is pretty much dead.
I think he's still laying there.
I think he's still laying there at this
12
point.
years later. Or 8 years later, rather.
Doctor comes out.
The one that saved Jerry Lawler, the one that now works in AEW.
He works in AEW now.
Doc Sampson.
Doc Sampson comes out. Referees come out. Big Show, the match is still going on. Technically, there's no bell rung. Big Show hits the KO punch, and another referee counts to 1, 2, 3. But then I think it was John Cohen. Is that his name?
Yes.
Yeah, John Cohen. Goes over to the announcer and says that Big Show's disqualified
because he pulled the
referee.
Yeah.
So,
either way, Big Show retains the title.
Big Show retains the
title.
It
doesn't change the outcome.
No.
The title stays with Show no matter what.
I actually thought this match was pretty good. I thought there was a lot of back and forth. I mean,
physical match,
definitely physical match. But I thought it was pretty decent. I mean, little clash of styles, I think, but I think they made it work.
Yeah.
In the match, so I liked this one. The finish, not the greatest finish I've ever seen, but I kind of understand it too.
Yeah, and it's a creative way to not beat Sheamus.
Yeah.
Essentially, is what it is. I mean, even though he did beat him, he didn't beat him. So it could further the storyline to another pay-per-view or to the next week's TV or whatever. It gives you an out either way. And I noticed one thing from the WWE that they do now that they didn't do back then is you got to remember, Sheamus is like a human jar of mayonnaise.
Yeah.
So, like, he is, like, when they do that spotlight thing on him, it's like, I can't see. Like, they didn't do that here. Like, it didn't seem to, like, bounce off. Like, it wasn't, like, when he was in the bar and the light would come on, it's like, oh, God. Like, oh. So, that's one thing I will say, because Sheamus is a very pale fellow. Mm-hmm. So, I've always called him, like I said, it gets a chuckle at home when I call him a human jar of mayonnaise. So, it's, to me, that's what, but I mean, he's withstood the test of time, too, for a guy that, been in the business about, 15 years now, roughly, somewhere in that ballpark. So, and the Big Show's been around for a long time, too. So, I mean, we're starting to see guys that are still here. We've got away from all that turnover, like Cesaro and Truth are still here, Sheamus and Big Show are still there. So, at least we're building towards something with the steadfast, reliable guys going forward. Mm-hmm. And then even in this next match, there's some turnover, but there's also some stalwarts that are in this match.
Yeah. Yeah, the next match is another 5-on-5 Survivor Series elimination match. It's Team Ziggler versus Team Foley. Foley not wrestling, though. He's just managing his team. Team Foley is represented by Daniel Bryan, Kane, Kofi Kingston, The Miz, and Randy Orton. And Team Ziggler is represented by Alberto Del Rio, Damian Sandow, David Otunga, Dolph Ziggler, and Wade Barrett.
I'm afraid I've got some bad news. Yes. That's before he had the bad news Barrett gimmick.
Before the bad news Barrett.
Sorry, I just had to do that.
Before Alberto Del Rio was abusing people.
Yeah. And before Alberto Del Rio and Paige had their weird relationship too. And,
Before the New Day with Kofi Kingston.
Xavier Woods and Big E and all that stuff. And not to cut you off, you were going to say that they were with Ricardo Rodriguez.
Yes, which is Alberto Del Rio's personal ring announcer.
Which Vicky Guerrero apparently likes having burritos with.
I did not know that.
Which they showed, the AJ Lee segment, they showed, she came out and she had photos
that's right.
of Vicky having a burrito with Ricardo Rodriguez and having barbecue stuff with JR. So it was a stupid funny scene. That was when Tamina came out and attacked her.
Yep.
During the show. I can't remember where it was in the show, but it was in the show somewhere.
Yeah.
Which was interesting to look back at what 8 years has done to Tamina. She has not aged well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to be mean, not trying to... She was a young, real thin, lanky... And, I mean, I'm not saying she's huge now by any means, but I didn't realize how lean she was 8 years ago. When she came out, I'm like, who the hell is that? I'm like, oh, it's Tamina. I'm like, what? So she looks totally different now, put it that way. I guess that's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
But anyways, I didn't mean to cut you off. But yeah, I thought it was funny when you said Ricardo Rodriguez. I thought of the Vicky Guerrero, the photos of Vicky Guerrero eating burritos with him.
So, the match itself was really solid. I actually like the finish here. We'll run down the eliminations real quick. So Damian Sandow is going to be the first one to get eliminated by Kane.
Well, and mind you too, before you get into that, they had the Mick Foley trying to rally the truth part.
Yes.
And Kofi and the Miz are kind of going at each other, and then of course Team Hell No's going at each other. Yeah. Randy's just sitting back watching this cluster, going, "What's going on?" And then they do the bang bang thing, all hands and bail. And Mick Foley turns around, Randy Orton's like, "I hate you," and he just walks away. So, anyways, continue. Sorry, they did some cool segments here, I will say.
Yeah. So Damian Sandow gets eliminated by Kane, and then a little surprising here, Kane gets eliminated by Dolph Ziggler after the zigzag. Kane's getting distracted.
Yes.
Then David Otunga gets eliminated by Daniel Bryan.
Now, mind you, David Otunga was in this match because Cody Rhodes got hurt.
Yes.
Cody Rhodes was supposed to be, he was teaming with, what's his name? Damian Sandow, originally. And he got hurt. He got nicked. Kane dropped him right on his shoulder.
Yeah.
That was a gnarly bump he took. So, mind you, that's why David Otunga's in this match. He's really the only fill-in in this match. But anyways, continue. Sorry, I just popped into my head.
Kofi Kingston gets eliminated by Wade Barrett after the Bullhammer.
I'm afraid I've got some bad news. Bullhammer.
This one was a little surprising. Daniel Bryan gets eliminated by Alberto Del Rio by submission with the armbar. He wasn't in that submission very long.
Oh, the cross arm breaker. Well, and you got to remember too, this is back when Del Rio had the rocket strapped to him. He hadn't done anything really bad yet, per se.
Yes.
He came on. He was just coming off winning the Rumble a couple years before that, or a year before that, whenever it was. It was 2010, I think, was it, or 2011? I think it was 2011.
Wasn't that the 40-man?
Yeah, the one in Boston. I went to that.
Yeah.
I was disappointed. Disappointed that he won that.
Yeah.
My Mongo, my friend, and my friend Glenn, we went to that. I remember that was I think the last pay-per-view I went to. So that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were there for that monstrosity. But anyway, so I mean, Del Rio is still pretty hot. So I mean, I guess it makes sense. But Daniel Bryan still isn't quite Daniel Bryan Yes Movement yet.
He's
yet. Getting there.
He has been world champion though at this point. But yeah he's still not as big as he.
And Team Hell No wasn't even red hot yet. They were just starting to get there too. So.
Wade Barrett's gonna get eliminated by The Miz after a skull crushing finale. Easy for me to say. Then The Miz gets eliminated by Alberto Del Rio. Then Alberto Del Rio gets eliminated by Randy Orton. And then the finish was surprising. Randy Orton gets eliminated by Dolph Ziggler after a super kick, and so your sole survivor from Team Ziggler is Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, because at one point it was 3-on-2, and the only two that were left were The Miz and Orton.
Yep, Miz and Orton.
Yeah, and I remember they kind of made eye contact and kind of acknowledged each other, like, hey, we need to go here. Like, they made that because they had a feud too at the time, so they kind of looked at each other and they both kind of did the head nod, like, okay, let's go. It's you and me. Mm-hmm. And they actually coexisted pretty well. And it was surprising to see Ziggler win that match.
It was, but I like it. I like that when they do that, when you don't see the finish coming, because it's very predictable, especially when it's Team Foley. Everybody's behind Mick Foley. You thought the predictable nature would be the Team Foley would win, but I like how they went against it in had Ziggler.
Well, and I like the camera angle they had at the end too, when Orton was in the corner and you just see Foley looking at him.
Yeah,
not really disgusted, but just kind of looking at him, and trying to figure out what happened.
Yeah,
that was a cool kind of cool moment. Yeah. And ladies and gentlemen, we're here. we are at the main event now, mind you. This is leading up to a guaranteed title shot for The Rock at the Royal Rumble.
Yes. Yeah.
So again, the whole show they were teasing that. The Rock was tweeting about it and all that stuff. So.
Yeah, they wanted you to send you your touts.
Yeah, because touts
a big thing.
Yeah.
A lot has changed in 8 years.
Did you have a tout account?
I did not have a tout account. Nope, I did not.
No.
I don't even really know what tout was.
It was like a video chat. You could do video clips and stuff. Like instead of like messages. It was weird. I don't know. I looked into it, but I never had an account.
So this is a triple threat match for the WWE Championship. CM Punk's your champion here with Paul Heyman. And this is he's taking on John Cena and Ryback.
Now, mind you, that was some due in part because Ryback got kind of screwed over the previous pay-per-view.
Yep.
Because of Brad Maddox going rogue. Mm-hmm. And then the storyline was that Cena stepped aside so Ryback could have the title shot. Yeah. So that's why you have those three. Vince McMahon put Cena in there for stepping aside to let Ryback have his shot. Brad Maddox turned the referee in the match between Ryback and Punk at Hell in a Cell. And boom, here we are.
Yes. Here we are. So, CM Punk, he was kind of the, like you said, the chicken shit heel here. Mm-hmm. With Paul Heyman.
But he had so much, the fans loved him.
Yeah.
And I'm a Punk guy, so
yeah.
The
fans did love him. I thought the match was pretty good. I mean, it was a pretty solid triple threat match. I'm not the biggest Ryback fan in the world, but I think he held his own here.
For all the negative things that Ryback gets for hurting people or being a little reckless, he actually had a pretty good match here.
Yeah,
he really did. He was where he needed to be when he needed to be. He didn't look out of place. He didn't look too reckless. He didn't seem to really hurt anybody. He has that reputation. I mean, Punk, supposedly, that's one of the reasons why he left. Was because Ryback, manhandled him and hurt him. And they made him work through it. Yeah. This match actually went off without a hitch, I think. I think this match was a really good match. Yep. And then, of course, before the ending, we had the surprise.
Yeah. A couple guys that you may know from NXT at the time came in and attacked Ryback. Those guys being The Shield with Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns.
They didn't even know what they were at this point. They were just three guys showing up.
Three guys from NXT
in security clothing.
Yep.
What they said, what they said on commentary, and they put Ryback through the table. Mm-hmm. And then
they only kind of beat up Ryback, which is kind of surprising.
Yeah, I mean, but Cena was already out because he just got the shell shock.
Shell shock from Ryback.
Easy for me to say, just like the skull crushing finale for you. So, but he hit the shell shock, and then that's when they attacked Ryback. They put him through the table, the triple power bomb, which became their signature move. I mean, think of the people they've triple power bombed.
Oh yeah,
Undertaker, Triple H. I mean, there's so many guys that have had that move done to them.
And so that kind of allowed CM Punk just to get the 1-2-3 over Cena and retain his title.
Mind you, Cena got the shell shock hit on him, and he stayed down for about 43 minutes.
I know.
Because it took forever, because they had to get Ryback out of the ring and do that table spot. It took a solid couple of minutes.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, the match itself was 18 minutes long.
I was surprised that they didn't have Punk at least pick Cena up and hit the GTS. Because, I mean, realistically, Ryback's finisher isn't that devastating for someone to stay down for 3 minutes or whatever. But all in all, definitely a shock and awe. Nobody expected it. That was a kind of cool moment. The announcers played it off well, that they didn't know what the hell was going on, so that made it nice too. Yeah. And of course, it was the second finish in a row that someone helped CM Punk, and allegedly CM Punk had nothing to do with all of this. Yeah. Which it turns out he didn't, technically. Yeah. But I mean, at that time, you didn't know. You didn't know what his relationship with Brad Maddox was. You didn't know what his relationship with the Shield was. So it furthered a lot of questions going forward as well. Why was the Shield here? Why did they do what they did? Why did they only attack Ryback? Why did in 8 years later, you still have those guys being relevant today, as Moxley leading the charge in AEW, and it's they have their full gear pay-per-view tonight, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So he's facing Eddie Kingston in a match that I don't understand the point of. I mean, I get it, but again, moot point. It's just he's the champion there, and then you have Roman, doing his thing back from leukemia and back from being out from the pandemic and stuff, and Seth Rollins being Seth Rollins.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just think of the people they built in that one moment.
Yeah,
where they are now 8 years removed from it. They're all in prime spots.
Yeah, they're all former champions or current champion now with Roman Reigns.
I mean, Seth Rollins might have had the hottest storyline of the year with the Mysterio thing. I mean, that's one of the hotter stories.
Absolutely.
So,
but these guys here in the actual match itself, none of them really wrestle anymore. I mean, John Cena's, kind of going Hollywood.
Well, I mean, Ryback changed his name to Ryback legally. So he's now Ryback Reeves.
Ryback Reeves. And we all know what, the story with CM Punk here. So, a lot of turnover in 8 years. It's kind of interesting that the people that weren't even part of the match that made their debut are the ones that are really still going strong today in wrestling. And
you hear the rumors that CM Punk had talks with AEW about joining them and stuff, and you wonder, I didn't really put two and two together till we said it, but I wonder if Doc Sampson being there has something to do with them not wanting to go there too, because he named his price and Tony Khan said it was too expensive for them to pay him.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder if his price is so high because the guy that he had lawsuit with was Doc Sampson.
Yeah,
he was one of the guys named in that lawsuit against the WWE on Punk's side.
Yep.
So I hadn't thought of that.
MRSA infection.
Right, and I hadn't thought of that until we mentioned it. I wonder if that has something to do with it too, inside of Punk's mind.
It could be.
You never know.
You never know. Yeah, it's hard. He's one of the ones he can't. It's hard to read what he
is. A strange bird.
Yeah, he is.
Different breed of cat.
Yes, he is. So that is our rundown of Survivor Series 2012. I actually really like the show. I'm going to give it probably a solid 7.5.
We seem to rate a lot of these shows somewhere around there, and rightfully so. There's not very many bad shows.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some okay shows, but yeah, this is definitely 6.5, 7.5 range, so 7-ish area for me too. There wasn't a lot in here that was bad. I mean, even the women's match wasn't great, but it also wasn't bad.
No. Yeah, so that's kind of our take on Survivor Series 2012. Next week on episode 51, we kind of mentioned this in the beginning. Don't sleep on this show. We got a lot of big things coming for episode 52, but episode 51 should be pretty interesting. We're going back to WCW, and we're going back in time a little bit too. We're going to do Battle Bowl 1993, kind of their version of a wrestling tournament.
Yeah, almost like a King of the Ring style type tournament, and all the matches happen all one night.
Yep.
So, I mean, it gets a little boring, I would imagine, especially the live crowd, seeing the same person 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing about those tournaments is sometimes the crowd's already popped for Sting twice. Why are they going to pop for him a 3rd time? Kind of thing, So, but it should be interesting to see. There's a lot of big names on this show.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking forward to breaking that down. And like we said, stay tuned. 2 weeks' time. Some big changes coming to our podcast that we're really excited about.
Looking forward to it. Like we've been saying, do not skip episode 51 just because 52 is coming.
Yeah, do not. No, tune into us next week. We're going to be here the same time, same place, next Saturday at 5 o'clock. Until then, I'm Tim Church.
And I'm Roland Bulis.
And this is Wrestling with Wrestling Past and Present.